Do you prioritize peace or truth? When this thought made its way into my mind, it initially started as a theory about thinkers and feelers and FI versus FE. I had a hypothesis about it and even asked all my family members what they prioritized. The answers were very interesting. And even though I'm still interested in that hypothesis and may explore it in the future in greater detail, the more I thought about these two words and priority, I found my thoughts taking a bit of a different direction with this. And I will share those thoughts with you here. So, peace or truth? If you take a moment right now to reflect upon this and answer honestly, I think it will tell you some things about yourself. It may be a hard question to answer, lacking definitions up front. These are the kinds of questions that drive some people crazy because of the uncertainty of what is meant by these two words. People have their own definitions of these words, but let's check out the agreed upon definitions as a start. The definition of peace. Peace is defined as a state of quiet or tranquility, freedom from disturbance or agitation, applicable to society, to individuals, or to the temper of the mind. Truth is defined as conformity to fact or reality, being in accord with fact or reality. My dictionary says exact accordance with that which is, or has been, or shall be. That's a meaty definition. There is more which I could probably say about this, but I'm going to keep going for now. So now at this point in my life, I would definitely say I prioritize truth over peace. But what would the younger me say? I probably would have answered peace, and there are several reasons for that. A big reason being that I was afraid to give the truth to people. I didn't always know what the truth was necessarily, so I wasn't comfortable sharing my undeveloped opinions. What was more important for me was to always keep harmony. I remember as far back as elementary school never wanting to rock the boat, wanting to get along with people all the time, and in my immaturity and in my overriding need for harmony at all costs, I would make that happen. And I was dishonest in it. So if someone would ask me a question and say, "Tell me the truth," I would not tell the truth if I thought that's not what they wanted to hear. I would lie to someone just to keep harmony. I would betray confidences of others just to keep harmony or to earn me a like from someone. And I hated that about myself. I absolutely detested it, and it made it hard for me to live with myself. I knew I was a weak person because I couldn't handle conflict. And it goes deeper too for me. It's a people-pleasing thing. What are other people going to think of me if I say this? Too much concern for my image and how I appear to others. I would do whatever to keep the peace. And I learned this behavior in abuse. It was taught to me by my father. So even though I would have said I valued peace, I wasn't happy with that answer. I wasn't satisfied with that answer or with myself. There was internal conflict. I couldn't understand it at the time, and I couldn't reflect on it enough to make sense of it. There is this thing with us that we don't like conflict. I believe this is a maturity issue. I avoided conflict at all costs when I was younger. I'm sure all of us did, to one degree or another. So I can understand why I see what I see online about our type and conflict. A lot of what we see online is written from an immature or a younger point of view. And I find the mature viewpoint is not represented. But after you spend years working on yourself, you come into your own, your true self, and that's when things begin to change. For me, I don't think this avoidance of conflict is true immaturity. Who really likes conflict? I know there are crazy few out there who actually thrive on it, which is another story, but I'm talking about most people. For the most part, people don't enjoy conflict. It's not like I relish conflict, but I'm not as afraid of it now. If something has to be said, I'm going to go there. And I'm confident in it, and I trust the way I go there with others. In my younger years, I was terribly afraid of conflict. I hated how it made me feel. But I'm not afraid of it anymore. I know truth is more important to me now, so I'm not afraid to speak the truth, even if I know the other person won't like me for it or will misunderstand me in it, whatever the case may be. We may be a bit unique in this area because in younger years we will prioritize peace. But I believe as we grow older and we become more comfortable in who we are, and have done more research and have done more reflecting as to what we believe so we can become solid in it, we definitely will start prioritizing truth over peace. And that's the journey of the INFJ. And I think we come to that eventually through self-awareness. As we grow up, we realize truth is more important. It doesn't matter so much that you hurt people because you know that people sometimes have to be hurt in order to grow. And I've said this before, but for me, I had to hurt myself in order to grow. And I think that's where it has to start with us. We have to hurt ourselves first in order to grow. We don't do any favors to others by coddling them and stroking their ego. And we can say the same for ourselves, right? We don't do favors for ourselves when we coddle ourselves and lie to ourselves. This doesn't make people grow. It doesn't make us grow. It doesn't make others grow. What makes people grow is the truth. So as we grow, we start to seek to help people in a way that powerfully changes them and affects their lives. And we realize that the only way to do this is through telling the truth, knowing the truth. And with maturity comes a confidence in your gifts, knowing you have this beautiful way of speaking the truth in love to all and tailored in the delivery according to the individual. So I mentioned how we have to be honest with ourselves first, and I've talked about this before, but this is key in so many ways. So to make this even more personal, for those of us who were abused in childhood or even perhaps through another kind of abusive relationship. So I am one of 4. We all came from the same parents and experienced the same abuse in life. One might think that even though we are 4 different types, we would all be people pleasers, but that is not the case. Because we are different types, we all have our individual struggles and problems, but because of the nature of the abuse, our individual weaknesses were purposely targeted and manipulated. So for me, I struggled with pleasing people. This was my individual struggle. It took me years to realize I struggled with this to my own detriment. And this is where type and abuse meet, right? Because my sisters, who are INFP and ESTJ, do not have this particular struggle. They have different issues that they've had to work through. This struggle was my own thing. So I would say that naturally, those of our type are going to have a challenge in life saying no to people, creating boundaries and such. But take someone who naturally has this struggle, add narcissistic abuse to the equation, and now you have an individual who has learned not only to people please, but to abuse themselves in it. And there's a warped pride in it, because such behavior was actually rewarded in childhood by the abuser. So for me, I believed it was actually good to act in this way. So in order to heal, you have to be very hard on yourself. And I know that to many ears listening out there, this sounds counterproductive. Like I was continuing the abuse my father perpetrated on me by being so hard on myself. But this isn't true. To continue the abuse my father perpetrated would be to continue living in my prideful delusions. To never rock the boat, to continue being agreeable, to never state what I believe, to never disagree, to never put my needs first, to never set boundaries, and so on. So to heal, I must first recognize that I am also an abuser. I must call myself out as an abuser of myself. What had I really done to myself all those years? I denied others the truth about themselves because I was too busy keeping the peace to be honest with them. I denied myself the truth about myself because I was too busy keeping the illusion of peace within me. I sacrificed truth for others and myself at the altar of peace, and it took me a long time to see my sacrifices were in vain. Once I saw that, once I admitted the ugly truth out loud, then I was ready to begin the healing process. That was the day I started prioritizing truth, because that was the day I was honest and true with myself. Understanding this, that I had finally valued truth over peace, was the key which unlocked the door. And what did I find when I stepped through truth's door? Peace. That's when peace flooded in. At the end of truth is peace. Peace comes from knowing the truth. It's not the other way around. We can't start with peace and find truth. We have to start with truth first. Seek truth, and then you will find peace.